News Talk 610 AM and 102.1 FM. KVNU.
KVNU News Time is 4:03. I'm Bill Walter with this news update brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. Traffic should finally be flowing smoothly again through the intersection of 600 West and 1400 North as of Wednesday. Logan City officials announced the opening of that intersection to vehicular and pedestrian traffic earlier in the day. Logan officials had previously widened 600 West and installed traffic signals at the intersection, but a disagreement over who would pay for maintaining the nearby railroad crossing forced city officials to cover those signals in July 2022 and revert the intersection back to a four-way stop for motorists. During the 2023 general session of the legislature, however, State Representative Casey Snyder of Paradise engineered the passage of House Bill 51, the Railroad Right-of-Way Amendment. The mere threat of that bill brought Union Pacific officials back to the bargaining table where the dispute was ultimately resolved when work began on the much-delayed project in mid-June of this year. Logan officials closed the intersection to westbound traffic and announced a projected expected completion date at the end of August. Those improvements included widening of the roadway east of the intersection at 1400 North, 600 West, the widening of the railroad crossing itself, and the installation of sidewalks and traffic signals. That work was completed ahead of schedule. City officials say motorists should be advised there are now two sets of traffic signals for westbound traffic on 1400 North. When traveling westbound, the first signal requires cars to stop prior to crossing the railroad tracks that parallel 600 West. The second light allows cars to clear the space between the tracks and the intersection. Motorists should pay attention to the first signal as they approach the tracks and the second signal as they cross the tracks. KVNU News Time is 4:05. KVNU weather tonight, mostly clear skies, overnight low in the mid-50s, and then sunny, upper 80s tomorrow, and sunny around 90 degrees on Saturday. It's been to 85. It's 84 right now at KVNU. If warm summer nights make it difficult for you to sleep, check out the copper-infused gel memory foam mattress at U&I. You'll sleep cooler and more comfortably. Always a better buy at U&I, downtown Logan, 28 West, 1st North.
If you've ever passed by 485 North Main, you've likely noticed how well kept the property is. The grass is always green and the flower beds are always well kept and in bloom. What you see on the outside is exactly what you'll find inside. Care and attention to detail. Exactly what you want when you're dealing with one of your most important senses, your hearing. Dr. Daines' love and care for the community has always gone beyond the front steps at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. So if you're not hearing as well as you used to, stop in at 485 North Main in Logan or visit them online at cachehearing.com.
KVNU News Time is 4:06. A new scuba diving shop is opening in North Logan by Walmart at 71 East, 1600 North. Access Scuba is a full-service shop with sales, rentals, and repairs. Their instructors will be teaching accredited classes at Utah State University as part of their lifestyle curriculum. According to Dan Gallagher, the Assistant Director of Adventure Programs and Marketing at USU, it's like taking a class in mountain climbing. They will be using the pools at USU for teaching the classes. He said they have taught at the university before and are restarting the program. The Logan store is a branch of Access Scuba in St. George. Tashia Hatch, the local store manager, said they have several programs the public may be interested in. She said they have a Try Scuba program where people can try on the equipment and go underwater to get a feel for what it's like to be underwater and be able to breathe. She said they also have trips to places like the Philippines, Cozumel, Squirrel Island, and Belize, make that Ternefe Island near Belize and more. She said there's nothing like diving in the ocean. Even lake dives do not compare to it. The store has a compressor to fill scuba tanks with certified air. The store carries equipment for children and adults. And President Biden has praised leaders from both parties for unifying behind veterans a year ago. That's when they joined in passing the largest expansion of veterans' benefits in decades. The PACT Act is intended to improve health care and disability compensation for exposure to toxic substances, such as burn pits used to dispose of trash on military bases in Iraq and Afghanistan. More than 348,000 veterans have had their claims approved in the last year. An additional 111,000 who are believed to have toxic exposure have enrolled in health care. The president and Utah's Republican Governor Spencer Cox joined in Salt Lake City today to speak about the act on its anniversary. KBNU News Time is 4:08. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Your station for the Aggies. News Talk KVNU, 102 FM, 610 AM. And on Alexa, Google, online, or the KVNU mobile app.
Hey drivers, let's face it, driving can be challenging. From parallel parking to distracted drivers, there's always something to keep us on our toes. Driving is challenging, but car insurance doesn't have to be. Hi, this is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. As an auto owner's insurance agency, we do our best to find each client the best coverage and the best prices. Whether you're a seasoned driver or just starting out, Quality First has your back.
Come clown around with us August 9th through the 12th. I'm Grace Christensen, your Cache County Fair and Rodeo Princess. Every night we'll feature 3-time Barrelman of the Year, John Harrison, and entertainer Tomas Garcilaso, 3-time PRCA Specialty Act of the Year winner. Rodeo starts at 8 every night. Get your tickets at cachecounty.org, IFA, or Cache County Event Center. See you at Cache County's favorite fair and rodeo, August 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th.
So come on out, let's have some fun at the Cache County Fair.
I'm Ed Horrell, author of The Kindness Revolution. I've got a little suggestion for you this week. Take a moment to visit a classroom somewhere. If it takes going to an open house at a school, a PTA meeting, or simply making an appointment to meet with your child's teacher, do it. And while you're there, make it a point to say thank you to as many of the faculty and staff that are supporting the futures of these kids. To learn more, check us out at thekindnessrevolution.net.
We may be thousands of miles apart, but we can still connect. And when we do, we make things better. At Child Fund, we connect children all around the world with what they need to grow up healthy, educated, and safe. Together, we co-create connections that help millions of children who live in poverty worldwide, and their families, and their communities, and you. Join us. Together, we can make the world a better place. 2 small worlds at a time. Visit childfund.org to learn more.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Flace with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. If you own firearms, it's your responsibility to make sure they're always stored safely. Hiding them in a closet or drawer is not enough. Kids know where they are. Research shows the risk of injury and death is lower if guns are stored unloaded and locked up, with the ammunition locked in a separate place. This is important when children are young, as well as when they grow into teenagers. For more, talk with your pediatrician or visit healthychildren.org.
For more than a century, AM radio has evolved to meet the needs of our community. More than 80 million listeners depend on AM radio each month. AM radio is also the backbone of the emergency alert system, which keeps us safe in dangerous times. It's reliable, free, and public safety depends on it. Text AM to 52886 and tell Congress we need AM radio in cars.
Message and data rates may apply. You may receive up to 4 messages a month, and you may text STOP to stop.
This message furnished by the National Association of Broadcasters.
For the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cache Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have 2 guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM.
Whew. Literally ran into the studio. Charlie beat me here by probably a good half an hour, Bill by a few hours. We'll talk about...
I took off for a few minutes last hour myself.
We'll talk about it more in hour 2, but I had a really interesting last evening and afternoon both at a Tremont and Meet the Candidates event I was invited to moderate last night. We'll talk a little bit about what Tremont and what's on their minds. And then today, so I'm doing some volunteer work for the county. They needed a voice, which I have, and someone to interview random folks at the fair about the housing crisis. And man, was it illuminating. So stay tuned. I'll dish in hour 2 of today's show. Charlie Schill, our guest here in hour 1 for this week's episode of the For the People Theater Hour. And Charlie, welcome. It's a little warm out there.
Yeah,
it feels better
bad.
Here in the studio.
Not bad.
It is. I got to tell you, don't ever volunteer to be a fake interviewer in videos, because I didn't think about this, but for good video, they want you in the sun, not the shade. I was very disappointed to hear that today. But shout out to the Capture Films folks that were here filming, because they're pros, and they kept me supplied with bottles of water. So, what's going on in the arts and entertainment world?
Well, you know how you always compliment me on staying abreast of everything that's going on? Well, I screwed up.
Uh-oh. Is this? I thought as we wrapped last week, we didn't talk about Seussical the Musical. Is this what we're...
This is what we should have talked about last week.
I spaced it too until actually Bill mentioned that he was interested in seeing it. I forgot it was even on the calendar. It happens. We're human.
Well, my wife reminded me of it Thursday night.
Well, it wasn't like it was Rick Springfield, speaking of your wife, right?
Speaking of Rick Springfield, yes. We had Ryan Lenhart in here, I don't know, was it July or June? And talking about Lionheart Hall, their new performance venue there. And...
which is already... I can't believe it.
I have no access to
the show opened last Thursday, I guess. No, it was Friday, because I saw it on Saturday, and it's a total experience, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
This is a big one for an opening show for a new venue.
Well, yeah,
because it's well known, and
and you know, the hall was a little bit of a disappointment.
Are they not finished yet?
There's no permanent chairs. They're using it as a reception center, as in addition to a theater.
Oh, okay.
So they put in not folding chairs, but upright chairs in aisles. Now, granted, the aisles are fairly wide. That's nice, but the sound system, there was a little some problems with that, and the lights. But you know, that's theater growing pains.
Sure.
To have them
Makes
open
sense.
up and start a new show and a new theater. That's big news for us.
I'm excited about it. I think they'll have good luck in that space.
And if you don't mind sitting there with half the audience full of squealing kids, it's worth going to see.
Sure.
Seussical borrows plot elements from Dr. Seuss's various books and kind of weaves them together. The last time it was seen here in Logan back in, 2017.
Has it been that long?
The Festival Opera did it.
Okay.
In the Utah Theater. And
I didn't realize it had been that long.
yeah, it has. I think that was the first year they had the theater, the Utah open. I'm not sure.
After the big renovation, it would have been, yeah.
I'm not sure. But anyway, they did a cut-down version in 2017. It kind of threw extraneous plots and characters out the window. This is the full-blown Broadway show, which wasn't real popular with critics, but was real popular with audiences, and ever since then, it's developed a real reputation with regional theaters and with schools. Of course, it's a kids' show.
I didn't think about that. Perfect high school show.
For academic shows, yeah. But the whole thing is really enjoyable. It's very kid friendly. It's got a huge ensemble chorus, all kinds of dancing in production numbers, flashy costumes, leggy dancers, and it's got some adorable kids in the cast. Just cute.
That is, and my understanding, this is a lot of locals.
Oh yeah.
So
this is Cash Theater Company.
Yeah, they tend to try as hard as they can to make the whole production local.
Well, the thing that I really enjoyed, there were a couple of really young tykes, 3 and 5 probably.
Now that's risky, isn't it?
No, well, yeah, it is, but Zoe Ford played the little kangaroo, who was paired with Savannah Cordova, being the sour kangaroo. The one that got me, though, was Morgan Haywood as the little elephant.
Oh.
Not only is she's the creature that hatches out of the egg that Horton sits on. Not only is she's just cute, and she's only in the last few minutes of the show because the egg hatches just before the curtain call.
Sure.
But where I was sitting, you could see into the wings a little. And she's back there in the wings, imitating the performers on stage, singing along, same gestures, the whole thing. Just adorable.
That is very cool. I like that.
The show, the adult performers, Tyler Whiteside was cast as the Cat in the Hat, and he's very good. He plays it like a song and dance man. He's in a tuxedo with a straw hat, and he does a good job.
That's very cool.
Cato Davis is Horton the elephant, who is the kind of the central character. But he and Whiteside don't really get to hog the spotlight.
Really?
There is so much stuff going on. There's lots of entertainment here.
So this is from really old memory, but it's a really fast-paced thing to see, right? Something's always happening.
You got that right. It's just bang, 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 constantly.
That's great.
And it's good. And there's cute musical numbers in it. The dancing is well done. It's a cute little show. Well, it's not little. It's big.
That's what impresses me for a new venue. This is because I'm trying to think of the best way to. When you have an ensemble that big, a show that is this big, there's so much coordination involved in making that work. And it's a brand new venue, and I'm impressed they bit this one off.
And they did a good job with it. There were some glitches. The sound wasn't as advertised. There was some bursts of static when they're changing the microphones.
Oh, okay. Some kinks to work out.
And there was one god awful crash off stage left.
Oh, no.
I'm not sure what
No explanation offered, huh?
No.
That's not good.
Tyler Whiteside did apologize for the sound. He came on, did a little song and dance at the beginning of the second act and said, hey, folks, we're a little short-handed. Our sound tech is homesick tonight. We've got a kid who's never done it before running the board. But, give him credit.
Yeah. This is a big show for kind of I think they've had a couple of events there already, smaller events, but for the first big production at a brand new venue, the Lionheart Theater there, the old King's Building, for those that missed that show when we talked with David. I'm impressed that this is what they could have gone with something tiny, just played it safe, and I think it's cool they didn't.
No, they really made a great splash, and it's a great show. It really is.
Now, is this still running?
Oh, yeah.
Till this weekend, or
it's
into
running,
next week?
It's running tonight. Then there's a break on Friday. I don't know why. They must have something else scheduled there. And then Saturday, Monday, and Friday and Saturday of next week.
Oh, okay.
So it's the 10th, the 12th, the 14th, the 18th, the 19th, and there's matinees scheduled on the 12th and the 19th.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I'm impressed.
And the next show they're going to do, this is their new home.
Yeah, permanent, right?
Yes. The next show that Cash Theater Company is going to do, Young Frankenstein.
I'm excited about that.
You got that right.
That's a fun one to see.
Yeah, well, yes.
Very cool.
Cash Theater Company, and we've talked about this repeatedly, Cash Theater Company is carving out a niche for themselves.
Yeah.
Of new things, risky things.
Yeah.
And
it's working.
It's working.
That's what's, I think, the coolest thing. Very cool. For those interested, I've posted a link to where you can get tickets for Seussical the Musical at the new Lionheart Theater there in the old King's Building, northern part of that 4th North parking lot, and get out and see it, and also support a new venue. Plenty more to talk about. Charlie Schill, our guest here in the studio for the People Theater Hour, which continues right after this.
How many years has it been since you were married? 1 year? 10 years? Longer? This is Jarrett from Jarrett's Fine Jewelry. No matter how many years it's been, you always remember just how you felt. Show her you love her all over again with something special from Jarrett's. We can help you surprise her or bring her in and you can pick it out together. Maybe it's restyling the old ring or upgrading to a larger diamond that she just may have hinted about. No matter how many years it's been, let us help make it special on your anniversary.
Jarrett's Fine Jewelry. Make it special, make it Jarrett's.
The Aggies are returning home. Beginning this season, USU football and basketball will be back on KVNU.
Touchdown, Utah State!
Listen to every game, static-free at 102 FM, 610 AM, and online at kvnutalk.com or the KVNU mobile app.
It's recovered by Utah State, and the Aggies get the touchdown.
The season begins September 2nd when Utah State travels to Iowa to face the Hawkeyes. Join us in welcoming the Aggies back to KVNU, the home again for the Aggies.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Reports of traffic still being impacted in Salt Lake with the presidential visit today. We'll talk about that in an hour or two as well. Charlie Schill, our guest here in the studio. Got a bit off the clock. We've got to go to the news in 3 minutes, but we've been talking about Seussical the Musical at the new Lionheart Theater, and a link to where you can get tickets for the remaining shows of that on our Facebook page. But I just wanted to throw this out, too. As Charlie mentioned, we spoke with
one of the founders, if you will, of the Lanhart Theater there in the old King's Building. David Lanhart was in the studio a few weeks ago.
Ryan Lanhart.
Sorry, I don't know where David keeps coming from. That's just the name I throw in when I can't remember.
Sure.
Ryan Lanhart. Sorry, Ryan, if you're listening. That was a great interview, and he talked about why he wanted to do this, what made it a priority for him, the time commitment, all of that. So grab that podcast if you can, and I'm thinking that theater's going to come up for other events, even maybe some candidate events as it gets more established and more. Great location. The question I have, though, parking. Can it handle it?
Yeah.
It's a great place for that, I would think. No offense to the downtown theaters, but better than downtown, parking-wise.
Yeah, I think you're right.
So, yeah, I wish them all the luck. And
in the evening, that parking lot at Smith's is fairly empty.
Yeah. That side especially.
The parking lot is, for the most part, is on the east. Is on the east side near the doors of the supermarket.
Yeah,
people can just slide in.
I think it's great. And if you choose to take public transit there, you're literally dropped off next door.
That's right.
So I think it's a great location that they've found.
And the thing is, though, there's only 300 seats in the place.
Yeah.
So. You're not going to have that much trouble taking up the parking lot.
Yeah. You know what I'm hoping? I'm hoping we get a little bit more Pickleville touring with that venue.
That's interesting. We haven't heard anything from them recently. I'm waiting for an announcement on their Halloween show.
It's usually about now, isn't it?
Yeah.
When they do that. So, yeah, I've been watching, too, because they promise it's going to be something, well, I shouldn't say that. They've hinted it might be something new, but it could just be Adam's Family.
Whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
They can't use Kelsey Davis.
Yeah.
Kenzie Davis.
She's busy.
Yeah, she just had a baby in July.
Quite busy.
So they'd have to bring in somebody new to do that part. They might as well
change it up. I'd like to see them do that. I've loved Adam's Family every time. I'd go see it again if that's what they choose, but I'd like to see, they've put out so much creative original stuff recently. I'd like to see them just bite that off and do something original this year, but we'll see. The announcement should be coming sometime soon, but we'll be back with more of the For the People Theater Hour, and Charlie Schill, our guest here in the studio all hour. 753-5868 if you want to join us. We'll be back after these headlines with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:30, and this look at the news is brought to you by U&I Furniture. And yes, as Jason alluded to, traffic, at least on southbound I-15 in the Salt Lake area. This looks to be North Salt Lake, pretty much at a virtual standstill as the presidential motorcade with President Joe Biden is on the move in Salt Lake City. He has been in Salt Lake City today and is expected to be heading back to the White House tonight. One of the United States' biggest rail investments in more than a century could be an 88-mile line in Utah that would run through tribal lands and national forests to move oil and gas to the National Rail Network. State and local officials in Utah think it will be an economic boon for rural communities. They also argue it's good for domestic energy production. Critics question investing billions in oil and gas infrastructure as the country seeks to use less of the fossil fuels that worsen climate change. They also wonder what preliminary approvals from federal agencies say about President Biden's oil and gas policies. The Uinta Basin Railway would let producers, currently limited to tanker trucks, ship an additional 350,000 barrels of crude daily on trains up to 2 miles long. Backers say it would buoy the local economy and lessen American dependence on oil imports. And a federal judge has cleared the way for the U.S. government to continue capturing thousands of wild horses in Nevada despite the deaths of 31 Mustangs during the weeks-long roundup. U.S. District Judge Larry Hicks said after a 7-hour hearing in Reno Wednesday, he was denying horse advocates' request for an emergency order to halt the roundup they argued is inhumane and illegal. The judge said the horses' deaths were tragic, but he said the Bureau of Land Management appears to be complying with the law and doing everything it can to gather the Mustangs as humanely as possible from the range to cull the size of overpopulated herds. KVNU News Time is 4:33.
Are you a hot sleeper? Warm summer nights can make it hard to sleep. UNI Furniture recommends sleeping cooler with a gel memory foam mattress. UNI features a copper-infused gel memory foam that helps with coolness and circulation. It moves better with you, giving you the best night's sleep. UNI is also the home of Chair Heaven. There's a reason they sell so many chairs, including recliners. For over 90 years, there's always been a better buy at UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
They've been told to leave as wildfires burn on Maui, but California tourist Julie Ramsey can't get a flight, so she's in her car.
We've had at least 4 truckloads of residents who have come by and offered us homemade food.
President Biden issuing a disaster declaration for the Hawaiian island. Just in time for fall, the CDC and the FDA say a 4th COVID booster should be ready by late September. Inflation rose last month for the first time in almost a year, boosted by prices in housing, food, and energy. Stephen Miller is an economics professor at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
The good news is that food prices and energy prices are sort of prices that they go up, they come down, so they fluctuate. Other prices are sort of fixed. They may go up, they may not come down.
The increase, though, is still a lot lower than the 8.5% rise last July. Iran has moved 5 U.S. citizens from prison to house arrest. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
KVNU weather for tonight, mostly clear skies, overnight low in the mid-50s, sunny upper 80s tomorrow, sunny around 90 degrees on Saturday. It's been to 85, it's 84 right now at KVNU. Hey, if your trees and shrubs are growing like crazy and they're blocking your view or posing a potential hazard, call Whole Tree Care. They trim, shape, and remove trees. Call 435-760-6587. You can always get more news at CashValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Branch Office Administrator Bobby Bajaro bringing you the daily financial market report on behalf of financial advisor Clayton McBurdy and Edward Jones. Equity markets finished flat on the day as U.S. CPI inflation continued to show signs of moderation. Headline CPI data for July came in at 3.2% below expectations of 3.3%, while core CPI data came in at 4.7% below last month's 4.8% reading. After failing to start the day, Treasury bond yields finished higher, with the 10-year Treasury yield up 0.1% to 4.1%. With inflation data continuing to move in the right direction, markets are expecting the Fed to remain on pause with rate hikes for the remainder of the year. Today, U.S. equities closed higher. The Dow closed up 53 points. The Nasdaq closed up 16 points. The S&P 500 closed up 1 point. And in the bond market, 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 4.1% higher by 0.09 percentage points. The price of crude oil was down $1.53, and the spot price of gold was down $4.80. This has been today's financial market report, brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC, and financial advisor Clayton McMurdy, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice at 1309 North Main in Logan, Utah. If you would like additional information, please contact our branch office at 435-753-0537. Daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
What if you could come home every day to a peaceful retreat nestled in the mountains? a place that's only minutes from downtown Logan, but offers access to national forests from your own backyard, surrounded by mountains, horse riding, hiking trails, babbling brooks, and more. All this at Maple Creek Ranch, which is now in its fourth and final phase of development. 2.5-acre lots, your own piece of paradise that's remote yet accessible. And road improvements will be completed this summer. Don't let this opportunity pass you by. Go to maplecreekranch.net. Maple Creek Ranch, just east of Franklin, Idaho.
When a tiny drop causes a ripple and becomes a wave, it travels through all corners of the planet, sustains all forms of life, and provides streams of wonder, rivers of adventure, and oceans of discovery. One drop connects us all. Reserve your visit now to Loveland Living Planet Aquarium, a nonprofit organization.
Hi, I'm Smokey Bear, and I made an assistant to help you prevent wildfires.
Dude, I've got this. I've been camping since I was 5 years old.
But I am a camping influencer.
You know what? I'll bet you $5. Assistant Smokey, what is the best way to put out a campfire?
To put out a campfire, drown with water, stir, drown again. Then make sure the fire is out cold by feeling with the back of your hand.
Wait, really?
I'll take the $5.
Learn more at SmokeyBear.com.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People Theater Hour with Charlie Schill here in the studio. We do sometimes talk about things that aren't theater, or at least mention them, and I was just going to quickly mention some of the things you can catch at the Cache County Fair, which kicked off officially for the public today. It's been going since Monday, all the actual fair stuff, the reason fairs happen. But the get out and see the fun stuff started today, and just a quick rundown of this. You've got the carnival, of course, Brown's Amusement back again this year. But entertainment-wise, you can see, let's see, we're at about almost 5 o'clock. So your next option would be Carson Ferris, Outback playing at 5, Carson Ferris playing at 6, and the Doo-Wah Riders wrap things up tonight at 8 p.m. Tomorrow night, all throughout the day, starting at 4, you've got Cactus Tree, the Ty Pebley Band at 6, and then things wrap up tomorrow night, Friday night, with Cole Hartley. And then Saturday, the final night, Levi's and Lace Square Dance kicks things off at 2, Cultural Dance at 3, the Highline Drifters Band plays at 5, and then everything wraps up at 8 p.m. with the Escape Journey Tribute Band live performance at 8 p.m. Saturday night. So there's your fair entertainment options. There's a lot more than that. Those are just the live music options that I ran through there. I've linked again to Seussical the Musical at the Lionheart Theater, the new venue there in the Smith's parking lot, the old King's building. That runs for several more shows, and tickets still available. And I think that's everything. Did I get everything? What am I forgetting? Now I'm all paranoid because you've got me thinking about what we're forgetting.
All the old timers talk about the King's building.
I know. And no one else knows what that means.
Well, you know, it was Sears for, I don't know, 20 years before.
Yeah.
I don't know when
Sears.
King's died off.
I remember the old King's building with those dangerous stairs.
Yeah.
I don't have a memory of Sears, but I do have a memory of knowing it was a Sears.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, you know, I'm old enough, Bill might remember this even, I'm old enough to remember Keith O'Brien in downtown Logan. And
they were a regular KVNU advertiser back in the 60s, 70s.
There was a service station and a restaurant where the hotel is now. And I remember I was with my Aunt Kathy, my sister and I, and her kids, and we were going to the sidewalk sales. And we were headed to the sidewalk sales. I decided as we walked down the sidewalk, all the people at the service station had gone to lunch. And so I just, being a rambunctious little boy, I decided, probably 6 years old, something like that, I decided to run through the service station, slipped in a puddle of oil, in white shorts and a light-colored shirt, went down on my backside and my back, And I remember my aunt taking us to Keith O'Brien to buy me a new set of clothes and just scolding me the entire time because she said, "Oh, what is your mother going to think? She'll never let me watch you guys again." So
what was Keith O'Brien?
It was sort of like a clothing, mostly men's clothing, I think. Am
so,
I remembering that right? Yeah. But yeah, that's. I'll date myself with that. Keith O'Brien in downtown Logan, I remember.
Well,
and Coast to Coast, remember that?
I appeared here in '88.
Oh, I think
I don't remember that.
I guess it might have been before that it turned into. That's the book table now, right? That same area that Keith O'Brien was. I don't remember. I'm trying to remember the layout of downtown Logan in the 80s.
I don't know. I thought Keith O'Brien was on the block north of the book table, but
I remember.
Don't quote me on that.
Coast to Coast with the weird lamps in the windows was right on the corner. I remember that. And anyway, but yeah. I also remember we had a Safeway for like 2 weeks.
Before it became Smith's.
Well, then it was Farmer Jack.
Yeah,
it changed from Safeway to Farmer Jack, and then later Hastings. And
yeah, now it's the Big Five outlet, I think they call it, the discount outlet store. But yeah, and next to that was Salmon's. They also had weird lamps in the windows. I remember that. But
that's funny. You don't look this old.
These are some old memories coming up here. I don't even know, how do we even get on this?
I don't know. Let's get off it.
Let's get off of it. This has nothing to do with arts and entertainment and theater. Although there are a lot of great theater venues around these areas I've been reminiscing about. But that was actually something to throw out really quick, something from a listener. A listener got contrarian on me after our show last week, and I wanted to give you a chance to respond to this. Because and this is a friend of mine. I'm not being mean to a person here, but he said, you guys always talk about how many options there are in Cache Valley, but Salt Lake is so much bigger, and they actually have more theaters. What are you talking about? And my first response was, they have more theaters, but they don't necessarily have more content.
Yeah.
In the Salt Lake area, obviously,
besides that,
geographically, it's
besides
10 times
that,
the
we
size.
don't broadcast in Salt Lake.
That's right. But honestly, go to Salt Lake and look through a program guide or the visitor center, events guide, and they do have more theaters spread out through Salt Lake County, especially. But there's rarely something happening in a lot of them.
And the quality is what it is.
Sure. Yeah, and
a lot of those are community theaters as opposed to semi-pro things.
Sure. I tried to do a quick count, and I was actually at a match, theater company wise, as far as credible, big, coming back every year theater companies. It was equal, Cache Valley to Salt Lake, and so that to me is really where you get the uniqueness of Cache Valley, because we have the same content generators as Salt Lake numbers wise, fewer people, and the theaters can do something every night if they wanted to.
Are you counting Slack?
Oh, no, actually.
Salt Lake Acting Company?
Yeah, I didn't do the acting company. I forgot about that.
When the acting company stopped leaving space for Saturday's Voyeur, I swore off them.
I thought that was a really, really bad decision in Utah.
Yeah.
When they announced that, I thought, really? This is your bread and butter.
The theater probably wasn't making enough money off that.
Yeah.
So they decided they'd do their own, and
it bellied up.
I'm not sure I want to see that.
Yeah, it bellied up the first year, I know.
Speaking of, let's get back on what we really need to be talking about. We've talked about Ragtime, and that's going to start on September 15th.
I'm looking forward to this.
Yeah. And tickets went on sale just recently.
Yeah.
But you know what? The next show that Music Theater West is going to do?
No. They've announced?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I didn't know that.
What do you think? Carousel? Music Man?
I could maybe see them going in that direction, a classic.
Catch Me If You Can, the musical.
Really?
Yeah.
That's going to be...
Based.
Ooh, this is a dark one.
Based on the Steven Spielberg movie with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah. Which the rumor is that's based on true events, very, very loosely, very loosely based on. There was an actual individual who did some of those things. That's it. That's the. Oh, this will be a fun one.
Yeah.
I've never seen the musical or any stage production.
No, I haven't either, and I haven't even heard any of the music from it.
Mm-mm. I know that it had a long, long run just off of Broadway, a couple of years, I think.
Yep.
So it was popular. Wow. I didn't know they'd announced that. That's very cool.
Well, I think it's neat because you're starting to see a pattern developing with Music Theater West.
Mm-hmm.
Ragtime, Catch Me If You Can, new stuff.
Yeah. More current or more
current,
recently written, actually.
More current musicals.
Yeah.
Not Hello Dolly, not The Sound of Music.
Yeah.
Not South Pacific.
And what I love about this is that, we talked a little bit about Cash Theater Company and some of the things they've been doing, some of the more risky things, the nonsense and things like that. And then Music Theater West kind of feeling this other niche of newer, more contemporary stuff, but stuff that is still a big stage, well-known, established stage production. And then you have sort of the other companies sort of filling in, I don't mean this to be dismissive, but more traditional roles, maybe is a way to say it.
Well,
You've got everything.
Four Seasons is doing Into the Woods
I did see that.
I don't remember when that's going up.
That's their fall production, right?
Yeah, probably in October.
Yeah. Starting October 4th, it looks like.
The interesting thing there is normally when you see Into the Woods, particularly a touring company, and I've seen it 3 or 4 times by various touring companies, they double up a lot of roles. The Wolf is Cinderella's prince.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of who else is wrapped. Oh, the mysterious man is also somebody else in the cast. Oh, the narrator.
Yeah. That's a fun part. I forgot about that.
They have taken...
That's a fun part of this.
They have taken this show. They had so much talent when they did the auditions. They've not double cast anybody.
Really?
No. In fact...
now that implies people were coming to them, right?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
The interesting thing is that you got to see some... For instance, the giant is never seen on stage in this show, in most of those shows.
Sure.
But according to the folks at Music Theater West, Marianne Sidwell is going to play the giant.
Really? Now that's funny.
The Wolf is going to be Clifton Richards, who we've seen in other things. But the narrator is going to be Daniel Francis. And that's quite a change because Daniel's lately been doing a lot of tech work behind the scenes.
Okay.
And he's coming out. But interesting, I've never seen this done before. Logan Kelly is going to play Milky White, the cow that Jack has to take to market.
Really? That's how is he going to play that?
It will be interesting to see.
I'm just quickly looking at some images from other productions of this, and this looks very entertaining.
Oh Yeah, have you never seen it?
I haven't. I've never had the opportunity.
God, it's one of my favorite shows.
I don't remember when was the last time this was here, or has it been here before?
The Festival Opera did it.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, and it was a main stage deal. They did it at the Eccles.
Okay.
Trying to think. I think Wendy brought in a touring company. I know I saw it once in Washington, D.C., and once over in Japan.
Oh, really?
And I've seen a couple other productions. But, I mean, this is going to be a Music Theater West going all out to put as many people on that stage as they can. I mean, normally Milky White is played by a big, dumb doll of a cow that you roll around on stage.
And they're going to have an actual person. That is very cool. I'm excited to see how this plays out.
It's a great show. It's a Stephen Sondheim show, and it's really funny. It's about what happens after Happily Ever After.
That's the plot itself is what's always kind of drawn me. But yeah, I've never had a chance to see this before. I'm excited.
You got to see it.
I'm looking forward to that. We have a caller on the line here just before our last break. Charlie, David with a comment. David, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I hope I could change the subject from regular theater to the theater of politics.
Uh-oh.
I noticed Biden was in town, and earlier in the day, as they were talking about him coming, apparently he was talking about helping the people. Not sure if he was talking about the downwinders down in St. George or if he was talking about people who were exposed to, that was it. It was the
burn pits in Iraq and Afghanistan. Yeah. And
the
also,
dumps.
Also, in Iraq, the first time during the Gulf War, the Iraqis set fire to their oil fields, and a lot of people were exposed to toxic elements.
So they
I remember that
during that period.
Yeah,
that was actually the first Gulf War syndrome, or whatever. I think that's what they called it.
Yeah.
Well, so what I was going to wonder, was it coincidence that he came to Utah to talk about that? Because Utah has the Tuolumne chemical storage. And they had the incinerator going there, and apparently there were a lot of cancer clusters around there.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if this chemical dump bill that he was working on was also going to help the people of Tuolumne.
Well,
That's a good question.
He's on a 3-state tour of the West. On Tuesday, he announced a new national monument down in Arizona, which is probably going to complicate everybody's life down there.
Yeah.
And he's finishing up the swing here in Utah, and is then going to head back to the White House.
Yeah, I think the one down in down in Arizona, was that the one near Grand Canyon?
Yeah, it's north and south of Grand Canyon, about 1 million acres.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one he was protecting. They wanted to put uranium mines down in the Grand Canyon.
National Monument designation
Right.
Yes.
that was announced earlier this week.
Well,
and that was that was so stupid. When you think about the Colorado River as as the water source for so much agriculture downstream, to have even the slightest risk that it would be tainted with uranium tailings.
Yeah.
I used to live over in Grand Junction, and it took decades to get rid of that problem. And in fact, my stepdaughter's got some cancer problems. She's in Grand Junction, and just the very idea that the uranium would be anywhere near the Colorado River, which is, so so much agriculture is dependent upon the Colorado. I just, of course, he was smart to take that uranium out of the picture, and
actually, uranium wasn't in the picture.
Yeah.
Obama put in a moratorium on mining in 2012, and supposedly there's only 1% of the U.S. reserves of uranium in that area anyway, so it probably wasn't a big deal.
And that's one other thing I'd like to add, too. It's been frustrating, and I know the politics of this. Anything the Democratic president has to do, all the Republicans have to hate. Anything a Republican president does, all the Democrats have to hate. But all of our federal delegates going, this will curtail our nuclear power future. No, this was sandstone uranium. It's low grade. There's more of it in Wyoming than there was here that's untapped. And also, it's really cheap to buy right now. So we're filling up. We've got like a 90-year reserve. It's David, you started saying this is the theater of politics. Perfect way to describe it. So thank you for the call, and appreciate you chiming in.
Stay safe.
Thank you. And Charlie, just a couple of minutes left here in the hour. Anything to point anybody towards for next week? Nothing's opening, right?
Just the last shows of Seussical.
Yeah. And then put a pin in Ragtime. We should spend the whole show next time on Ragtime. I'm really excited for this one.
Okay.
There's so much to talk about, even in advance. David, thanks for the call. To our listeners, thanks for tuning in. Charlie, thanks for being here. And stick around. Coming up in hour 2, I'll recap my night in Tremont last night at a Meet the Candidates event as moderator. Also talk about some of the things said and done in Salt Lake City today with President Biden here in town. Governor Cox made some remarks on social media and in person, and both are kind of interesting. We'll get to it in hour 2 right after this here on KVNU Logan.
Covering Aggie football like no one else does. News Talk KVNU Logan, 102 FM at 610 AM. The home for USU Aggie fans.